sci-fi series that you were talking about a little earlier this morning.
Yes.
It sounds like it was a real labor of love, but also sounds like it was kind of a pandemic project. So an interesting example of how people have been getting creative over the past few months. That's the trailer for a brand new 10-episode animated series from the mind of Tom Dowdy. The graduate of Lakehead University wrote, produced, and animated the new series right here in Thunder Bay. It features the work of over 20 voice actors, many of them from the city or across northwestern Ontario. All 10 episodes are now available on YouTube, and we reached Tom Dowdy to learn more. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Amy. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
So tell me about Ascentrium. What is it about?
So it's a science fiction story. It takes place in the distant future, as they normally do, where Earth has been split into two different kingdoms, one up on the moon and one still down on Earth that's been ravaged by an as-of-yet unknown disaster.
It sounds like a lot of fun, Tom. What inspired you to want to write this story?
It's an idea I've had for a long time, but I've always loved science fiction. I've always loved animation, and this idea just came from reading the news, reading about hermit kingdoms and the dependency that other nations have on each other. And I thought, what if I just put this in space and had some fun characters play this out?
Was it originally envisioned as an animated series?
It started out as a short story, quickly grew into a novella. I still haven't had it published yet, but I figured maybe it's better on screen instead, something visual. So that's when I started animating it.
Tell me about some of the characters, Tom, because I know you have a lot of diversity in the characters, people from all walks of life.
Yes. I've got voice actors from all over the world. The characters all come from different backgrounds. Our main protagonist is Vesuvia. She was born in an underground subterranean haven on Earth. And she's always been curious about other worlds, what else is out there. And she tinkers around with various technology that's readily available to her, and she begins contacting other worlds. And then she meets two men from above, or so they like to be called, who live in the Ascentrium, who tell her, we've been looking for you too, and we'd love to make contact and bridge the gap between our worlds. Their names are Mazael and Rausch, and they've got their friends and colleagues that kind of join the adventures too.
And why was it important for you to have diversity reflected in the characters and in the actors that you have voiced them?
Oh, well, let's see. That's such a great question. I think it's just really important that the characters that we see on screen, we should relate to them. And if it's just representing only one sort of demographic, I think that alienates a lot of others. And I want my story to be enjoyed by everyone. And maybe there's a character on there that they relate more to than others. And I want them to, just enjoy the story and find something relatable.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned you have voice actors from all over the place, more than 20 voice actors throughout the series, including some local talent. Tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got a lot, just like my friends and family would come in for sessions, but also I've got a hold of Emily Upper, who does a lot of local productions here in town. I was really blessed to have her join, too, because she's such a great actress and of local talent. And just other actors who have always wanted to be part of an animation, kind of brought them on board, and they were really happy to do it, and I was really happy to have them. In addition to that, lots of freelance voice actors from around the world, but the main actress who does the protagonist, her name is Tassia Dorsemy from Mauritius, living here in Canada. She just did a fantastic job. Really good actor.
So in doing this, I guess you created some work for people during the pandemic. Did you consider yourself a bit of a pandemic job creator?
That's such a nice way of putting it. I always just thought as, I have all these characters and these voices, I guess I gotta pay people to do it. But when you put it that way, it does sound like it's a good thing to do, yeah. So I guess I kept some people above water.
How did you fund the project, Tom?
Just through myself, just saving over the course of a few months. But it really wasn't that expensive. I had the software. I produced all the music myself, did all the writing on various programs, and the budget wasn't that big. It all came down to the acting, because I really want the characters to come alive. Other than that, I've always animated and produced my own music, so I knew that wouldn't be such an expensive endeavor.
Where did that start for you?
Oh, just watching way too much TV as a kid. And then when I was around 11 or 12, I was like, what if I just make my own? So I bought Flash Macromedia, it was called back then, started doing 2D animation. 18 years later, I've stuck with it. I've always loved animation because I've always loved cartoons, humor, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you touched on so many roles you played: writing, producing, animating. You mentioned even creating the music. What was it like wearing all of those hats?
If I had known how much work it had been, I would have double guessed myself. But yeah, it's one thing when you focus on one aspect of a production. When you're overseeing the whole thing, it can be a little overwhelming. I spoke with other professional animators who've told me, I do the scene direction in this, or I do the art direction in this scene, but you're doing everything. This is going to be tough. And they were right. You have to pay attention to every single little detail, every blink, every color, every part of the music that's accompanying the scene. It can be a little overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. How long did it actually take you to pull it together?
Because I was laid off during quarantine, it still took all of my time, all day, all night. But I managed to get it all done maybe 4 or 5 months.
What was it like when you actually got to see the finished product?
It was, an immense feeling of satisfaction for sure. To take, just an idea or thought in your mind and then see it up on screen and to get feedback
The light was
from
real.
really is
From
something.
when you were a kid.
So ultimately,
Sure.
what do you hope happens with your series, Tom?
Either way, I'm
I
going to.
would love it to gain traction online, get more people watching it. Maybe if somebody's not familiar with the science fiction genre, they can introduce that to them because it's kind of like soft science fiction. It's very digestible. So I just want people to enjoy it. And also, I still really would like to publish my novella that this is based on. So maybe gain a little traction, a little awareness, and see what I can do with the written part of it.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Tom. Good luck with this.
Thank you so much, Amy. It was great talking to you.
Tom Dowdy is the writer, animator, and producer of the new animated sci-fi series Ascentrium, made right here in Thunder Bay.